I am Angela
That's what I love.
Mr. Mallard. Join me as always, Mr. Chief of Morale himself, Bud Copeland. Bud, how are you this evening before we get
So the point being is, good golfers are a fucking dime a dozen, and we saw it in full swing that the line of demarcation between.
here? Are you ready, Bud? Are you ready for the players? Are you ready to make money? Are you ready to try to beat me?
I didn't do my homework this week.
And good evening, everybody. Welcome into Divots and Pivots here, kicking off Tea Time Tuesdays for the Fantasy Sports Corporation. Every Tuesday, we are here live on the YouTube channel, Fantasy Sports Corporation, at 8 o'clock. Later, you can follow us up with Plus Money Golf, getting you all your bets and props in for this week's tournament, which is the Valero Texas Open. And let's just be honest, it is just the buffer to what we all golf fans want, and that is next week. The Masters is upon us. The golf world will be ascending to a descending on Augusta, and we are ready for it. As you can see, Bud is not with us at the moment. He's having some Wi-Fi issues. He's on the road for work this week, so he will be joining us here shortly. And then later on in the program, we are being joined by special guest Nate Hyrn, who is the creator of Acorn Hills Clothing Company. So some fantastic info coming your way from him. Definitely going to want to check that out. So get over to acornhillsclothing.com. Go check that out beforehand. But let's get into it because, as you heard there in the little intro, Bud is obviously not ready to beat me this week, even though he whooped my butt last week in match play. Apparently, my new little research strategy that I gave a shot in theory that I had did not work out. As far as my bracket went, I did better than most probably, but definitely didn't have the final, and I only had Scheffler in the final four. But as far as getting on a group stage, I didn't do terrible, but it wasn't enough. Bud beat me by about 100 points on DraftKings, so he took the victory there. I'm going to show the latest scores on the season with the match play scores included. As you can see, I still have a slight lead, just under 50 points, but Bud did some serious damage closing that gap to get us into another nail biter coming into the Valero and then the Masters next week. This is going to get interesting, going to get fun. The big stakes of a six-pack on the line. Stay up to date. Stay caught up with us all season as we do this little fun kind of get together for these tournaments. But speaking of the Valero Texas Open, the field is sorry about that. The field is definitely not star-studded. It's a week where Tyrrell Hatton is your highest salaried player at $10,900 on DraftKings, which, first of all, for Hatton is an outrageously high price. So something's up there. The fact that he's the best guy, and there's really, other than that, this week is really going to be about chasing the guys who are looking for that last-minute invitation to the Masters next week. And there's no bigger guy for chasing that goal right now than Ricky Fowler, who is probably every golf fan is probably rooting for Ricky Fowler this week, because who doesn't love that comeback story? We all enjoyed watching Ricky come up in the game with all of his color. He's a great role model. Watching him fall was not the most enjoyable thing as a golf fan, but seeing him come back right now, he pulled off the upset against Rahm in match play this past week, and I'm hoping he can build off of that and get himself into the Masters for next week. Sorry, I just need a little sip there. But so Ricky Fowler's going to come in. The only problem is everybody wants him. Like I said, he is a popular fan favorite this week, right around 20% ownership. That one is going to hurt, especially in a week where you're not going to really have to eat any chalk. There's going to be value everywhere. This is one of those weeks where somebody from the 6K range can easily win, because this field is so kind of splotchy and put together that we're going to be able to find some value everywhere. But like I said, Ricky Fowler is definitely got the story, he's got the drive, and he's got the game right now. He's in such good form to where he could easily pull off a win this week. And I have to check the math on the actual points. I don't think he even has to necessarily win to get in. He's in, I believe it was 59th in the world golf rankings. He just needs to sneak into that top 50 this week, if he can do that after this tournament, then he gets himself that Masters invite, and he will get there, and we'll all be happy. We'll all have fun. But we're gonna take just a real quick early break here while we try to help get Bud's Wi-Fi figured out. Just give me 1 second here. We're gonna hear from Jazz Casino real fast. Take a listen to them, but we're gonna be doing some work with them in the future, trying to get some betting lines going for you, and really working up a partnership with them. So take a listen real fast. We'll be right back.
Jazz, Sportsbook, Casino, and Racebook, the world's best resource for all-purpose online wagering. For over 20 years, Jazz has provided the best and quickest payouts in sports and entertainment wagers. Live sports betting, covering all the major sports leagues, and even into the new and exciting world of esports. Down the stretch you'll come, with Jazz's online horse wagering. Get paid when you play with Jazz's fun and exciting online casino games. Go online now and use the promo code TSS for our new members deals. Jazz Sportsbook, Casino, and Racebook, the world's best resource for online wagering.
All right, guys. Bud will still be with us here shortly, but let's get to some other golf news before we really dive fully into the DFS here, because I do want to get, obviously, Bud's opinion on the DFS. And as he comes in, hopefully he can stay here with us. Great, wonderful hotel Wi-Fi. It is what it is, and yes, that cough came back magically yesterday, of course. It is what it is. We work with it. But Bud, welcome in. You missed the temporary intro, but you're here now and you're ready to go.
I've got a bone to pick with Hilton Garden Inn.
First of all, speaking of Hilton, is your wall collapsing behind you? What is up with those curtains?
I'm actually on the 12th floor of the beautiful, magnificent Manchester downtown Hilton by Garden Tree, Double Tree, whatever the fuck's going on here. I'm
the
upset.
Whole forest. Yeah, you're in the whole forest.
I mean, listen, we had everything set up. Look at that. Look at how high tech we're getting here. Oh, no, yes. I had it all connected and I come up and the shit's not connected. I don't know. Anyway, what did I miss? What's going on? Are you dying? Is that what I missed? And by the way, the new intro, straight fire. Love it. Don't ever want to change it. But no, how are you, my man? It's a tough week. It's a tough week when we got coming off of the match play, and we got the Masters next week. How we got to pay attention to the Valspar a little bit, but not the Valspar. Where are we?
The Valero,
whatever.
Yes.
That's my point.
I know. What
are we even doing here?
Too, because the two V tournaments this close together like this, I had to second guess it for a second. But all you missed really was me going over how you royally whooped me in match play. Really closed that gap. You beat me by 100. I'll show you the scores here as well. I still have a just under 50-point lead on you, but man, you really took away my leverage, my leverage in the standings there.
I'm excited.
You did crush me.
This is why I don't talk too much shit too early. I'll wait till I actually beat your ass, because we got some majors coming up. Thank God for Cam Young. I mean, I was big on the Kiz train, and Kiz was 0-2 barbecue. He was hunting by round 3.
Cam Young rushed it for you.
Came through big for the boy. I actually finished 4th in my other league out of 20 some odd. So starting to claw my way back into the playoff race over there. And obviously, like you mentioned, I'm gaining some ground on us. But before we get into the Valspar take 2, I know it's the Valero. I'm just doing that on purpose. That's to show how little this.
I knew what you were doing.
This is where the tournament itself doesn't matter as much, but the storylines are there. How many guys are people following right now? How many Ricky Fowler fans do we have this week for the sole reason that it could get him back to the Masters? My boy,
the number is 20%.
The exact number is 20%. We've been out there, we've done the research, and it is 20%. No, my boy and yours, Akshay Bhatia. Or Bhatia. I gotta get that last name right, but Akshay,
I keep switching back and forth on how I pronounce it as well.
Yeah, he's a lefty, so it throws you off a little bit there. Anyways, he's in the hunt for it. But those are the only two names that I really give a rat's rear about this week. I'm not gonna lie.
Yes.
On a global scale, not a big week for golf. It is kind of an off week. It is much more for the golf nerds like ourselves, who's looking for who's going to make the Masters, who might make us a little money this week. Scotty Scheffler not winning was a big story. But we'll get into this week in a minute. But before we go that further, the golf ball. Have you already teased it?
So that's what I was getting ready to do. I had to take a quick breath, and then you came on because it's funny. We were seeing pretty universal takes from the players on this until Rory came out. It was either yesterday or 2 days ago, saying that he actually thinks rolling back the golf ball. And before we get too deep, let's tee it up, I guess, a little bit here. What's being talked about by the USGA is changing the make of the golf ball to basically make it so that they don't go as far. And I get some of their thinking in that what they're looking at is golf as a whole, not just the professional tour. They're looking at the whole industry of golf. They're looking at the country clubs that have to spend more money to make courses, to have longer, more land of courses, maintenance, all like they're kind of looking at all the nickels and dimes out there that are adding up. The players are just looking at the competition level. So like I get both sides. I still think just kind of leave the golf ball the way it is. Why not?
You're nicer than I am. I don't even see both sides. I just think leave it the way it is. This is a solution in search of a problem. This is absolutely positive. If out of nowhere they said we're going to use a 10-foot 6-inch rim in the NBA, but the rest of the sport you're going to play on 10 feet. What the fuck are we doing here then? Like, who cares if the sport has gotten that much easier for these guys at that level? Make the courses harder. They can.
Yeah.
You know what I love about
courses
this?
Harder than distance.
I love this because a couple of years ago, everybody was pissing and moaning. And this is when Phil did his little temper tantrum. One more reason I'm done with Phil. Like, you lost your gravitas when you started 5-putting when the ball wasn't even moving at the U.S. Open because you're getting all butt hurt. Glad you won the PGA. Wish you wouldn't have left for Live because that win at the PGA was people forget about that. He threw his little temper tantrum and then, of course, it wasn't that Phil had a temper tantrum. It's how hard are we making this course? That was like 5 minutes ago. So to everybody, including Mike Wan, which, by the way, Mike Wan, he's the CEO of the USGA. He's coming from the LPGA Tour. He has done already phenomenal things. He's going to do phenomenal things. Mike, leave this alone. Do not touch the ball. You're creating problems. I still saw that the Arnold Palmer at Bay Hill, same course it's been on for a couple of decades, they had a winner that was within single. As long as our winners, for the most part, at the events that we care about, are still winning in the single digits under par or even into the over par, we're good. We got our Sony Opens that go in the 20 unders. We got a couple, but just because it happens a couple times a year, let's not go fucking around with something. Like, this is the dumbest thing I've heard. I agree with JT. I agree with John Rahm. I respect Rory's position in the sense of anything we can maybe do to make it a little more challenging. Because that really would add one more layer of thought to the game. But John Rahm's going, okay, I hit it 1.5 miles, and you're telling me now I'm only going to hit it 1.25 miles. I'm still going to hit it further than the guy who only hit it 1 mile before. And it's not going to hurt anybody else. So leave it alone. Go on to something else. Find new courses. Find new venues. Talk to Shinnecock. Talk to Winged Foot. Talk to some of these courses that can make it super hard and say, what do you got? There's a great social media graphic floating around right now that has the stent meter readings. And for the uninitiating, the stent meter is a little device that they put on one of the greens at the golf course. They roll a ball down it, and however many feet, whatever it goes, that's how fast the greens are rolling. And these stent meter readings from the 70s, 80s, and 90s were in the single digits, 7 feet, 8 feet, 9 feet, 10 feet. Now they're in the 12 and 13s. So my point is the same as yours. We know how to make these courses harder. We know how to just leave it the F alone. There's so many more things we could be focusing on about with this game. You're under assault from Live. Just because we have the upper hand doesn't mean it's going away. You're under assault from Live. You still have to engage a new audience. You need that next wave. And to lower the bar to excellence for the sake of making the masses feel good, to me, is just go away.
Yeah, nope. I agree with you. What I found interesting was Rory going against the grain of the other golfers who had spoken out. And it got me thinking, why? One, why did he wait as long? Like, because 3 or 4 other guys had already spoken out about it, including guys on the Live Tour who were also against it. Like I think it was Bryson came out. He's against it doesn't matter the tour. Most people were against rolling it back, and then Rory waits about 2 weeks to come out to say that he thinks it is a good idea. So I started thinking, why? Do you think it has anything to do with Rory? I don't want to say this newfound fan loved power going to his head or anything, but do you think he's maybe over focused a little bit on placating to what he thinks the general public of golf fans are going to want to see, instead of, in this case, going with the players, which up until this point, he's been the voice of the players for the last year or so?
Two things. A, Bryson and everybody else who went to live, you get the Matty Fitz treatment from me. Go fuck yourself. You don't get a say in this.
Yeah, we've already established that.
but B, quote, for elite level play, I really like it. I really do. I'm glad in this new proposal that they haven't touched the recreational golfer. I know that's a really unpopular opinion amongst my peers, but I think it's going to help identify who the best players are a bit easier, especially in this era of parity that we've been living in these past couple of decades. First of all, Rory, stop. That makes no fucking sense. You already have a way to determine who the best golfer is.
Yeah.
Everyone's I don't understand
right now. It's called rankings. that encompasses your entire game. And
part of this is the fact that I've got my little amateur qualifiers I'm going out for. The fact that I can, in the back of my head, I'm playing the same course as some of these other people have. I'm trying to play the same game. I'm shooting the same score. To now go, I go back to, you're playing basketball in a 10-foot hoop, not an 11-foot hoop. So you don't really know how. Let me get this straight, Rory. In the sense of growing the game, you want to put one more layer of separation between the recreational golfer and the professional golfer? No, you dimwit, and I love you. But the whole point of this is that you and I can, in theory, swing the same club, same ball, same tee, same course, same conditions, same everything, and we can automatically know. If you want to introduce some sort of artificial variable that nobody was asking for, I don't get it. This has got to be ego. Is there some sort of association of golf course designers that are having a conference somewhere going, we're not getting enough credit. Our courses are getting – no. Because the superintendents of the world are going, well, we can grow that rough out. We can narrow the fairways. We can grow the rough out. We can harden the greens. We can not water them. The science is there to take the old courses and make them harder. And as we build new courses, just make them more difficult and longer.
Well, and that's the thing. That's the beauty of landscape and golf courses being built around landscape is that, okay, say you have say you have a slight dog leg or something that is now everyone's being able to cut the corner, because everyone can hit it so far these days, and it's making this par 4 dog leg left. It's making it people left 60 yards in or something like that. So say it's getting too hard. Okay, strategically, all you have to do is strategically place a fucking tree in the right line, and you're gonna cut off a route. You're gonna cut off a visual, a path, whatever, to where you're gonna force them to have to play the corner. You know what I mean by play the corner. Play it up to the corner and then to the green. The things you can do to take out distance. Put in another bunker. There's things that can happen.
There are definitely things that can happen. For example, what they're doing at Augusta National with the 13th, and they've dropped that tee box back 35 yards. And now everybody's going, yes, it is a new hole. You can no longer either bomb it over those trees like you were talking about. Bubba discovered that holy shit, we're big enough and tall enough and strong enough. We can just hang it over those trees.
Or hell, even just let the tournament handle what they I feel with Sherman now a few weeks ago, where they put the scoreboard in the way so that they couldn't cut the corner like they did last year. They still went over the scoreboard anyway.
Yeah, Hovland went over it.
Yeah, but they tried.
But they tried. Oh my God. No, there's the rollback's a joke. I think it's definitely I wouldn't even be shocked if it was something in the PGA Tour comms department where they're like, all right, real quick, we're in between live events. Our next major's not for a couple weeks. Who wants to? Are we good? We good with this? Yeah, let's just throw that out there. I do get that Mike Wan at the USGA is looking at everything and anything to tweak the game, to make it more accessible, to make it more. This is one walk away. It's stupid. Yeah. The analogies to other sports are. I don't even know how to make it. even in a sport like baseball, once you get to the high school level, everybody's playing at the same 90 feet bases, 60-foot, 6-inch, infield. After that, it's just how far can you hit it? No, not too dissimilar from golf, in which case, from 125 yards in, everybody's playing the same course. After that, it's just how far can you hit it off the tee. So let's not mess with it. I think if you're going to do anything, like you said, and there's going to be people out there going, not every muni, not every course can just make it longer. No, you can't. But you can grow. No, you can't make it longer, but you can grow your rough out. You can do things to your greens. You can make other alterations. Hell, plant a tree. Speaking of, like you said, here in about 10, 15 minutes, we're going to be talking to somebody about planting trees in the intersection of golf and nature and how they can complement one another. So I just thought I'd tease that. I don't know if you already did that before.
I did tease that he was coming. I didn't mention specific products yet, but I did tease that Nate would be joining us a little bit later. But here's the other thing to consider. Okay, USGA, instead of putting the money into researching the technology or the production and all the steps that it would take to roll back the ball, create new balls for the professional level, and then everything you need to do from a logistical standpoint to separate, whatever. It's a lot of money. Maybe instead spend that money, you're mentioning the municipal, put the money back into these courses and help them change the courses in ways that, because look, even when it comes to growing out rough the right way or cutting the approaches differently or whatever, changing shapes, not every course has a highly trained superintendent at the same time. Put money into training the guys at these courses or women at these courses to teach them how they can make changes to their courses, on a reasonable budget to affect change in the game that they want to see. Because as we've seen with everything else in the golf world, change tends to happen at the level of, me and you, these regular golfers out there. Change can happen there and work its way up too.
So I'm on the Golf Course Superintendents Association of America website. It's a real thing. It's legit. And this is the type of place, like you're saying, maybe we invest in groups like this that help shape the existing landscape and just try, instead of trying to create I don't feel bad for the R&D departments and the golf manufacturers who would have to go back to the well and kind of because they get paid a lot of money to do this, and they would get paid back in spades and it would create some jobs, and there are some silver linings. I just think from a practical matter, it's a solution looking for a problem, and it's not an actual problem that exists.
Yeah.
Then again, what the hell do I know?
Basis level, sure, yeah, that's not wrong. Super Friends Sports Network, thank you. Yes, the background, that was on a whim. A little simpler, a little less going on behind us. So thank you. Appreciate that support. And
I was going to talk about that too. Thanks for beating me to it. The redhead?
Not going to lie. Maybe elaborate more. Who's the redhead? Well, we missing something? I don't know who the redhead is.
Because I ain't got no head. There ain't nothing underneath that.
Unless maybe he knows. Maybe they know Nate, and maybe they know Nate's a redhead, and maybe they're just here for Nate. I don't know.
Bring on the redhead. Before we get any further, I genuinely, I'm going to tell you right now, I didn't do shit for homework. I can't get up for the Valero Texas Open. Like I said,
the intro again.
No, I did miss the intro today, the new intro.
Well, that's exactly what your last line in the intro is. I didn't do my homework.
I did not do my fucking homework this week because I'm prepping for next week. Next week's a bigger week. I don't know if you've heard that the Masters, it's a pretty big tournament in the golf world. But I'm looking at the Valero, and we got Tyrrell and Hideki. Again, what happened to Hideki? WD with an injury. Once again, Ricky Fowler, I can see you put a star next to his name. I like that you like him. I like that you like Siwoo.
He's Christian Kirk. Fowler's the only chalk I'm willing to eat just because he's got that reason to play for.
He's a World Cup team from like a good nation that was just devastated by a hurricane, and it's like, yeah, we want him to make it to the finals. I want him back at that's a terrible analogy, a devastated nation from a hurricane. But I want him back at Augusta, and I want a story. So I do want Rory to win. I was talking to somebody downstairs, and an Englishman. No, I want Rory to win Augusta, but I want Ricky. I want Ricky to get to Augusta. Yes. So there's a lot of storylines. And again, where's my boy Akshay? Where are we looking at this week? He's down there 7K. Yep. Believe it. This is, he's been finishing the top 25. He keeps riding that special temporary status, and he keeps finishing high enough to qualify in the next and the next and the next. I say, don't hate on him because he's a motivated young man, and we are Team AB here at DNP. But no, after that, I just kind of want Ricky to win, and I'm not gonna lie, I'm cruising until we get to Augusta.
Yeah, it's a week where when it comes to picking who I'm playing on DraftKings or on Underdog Fantasy, it's a week where I'm not playing chalk. I'm really playing the storylines, like we said. Like, so Akshay's someone that I'll probably I love the storyline. I'm rooting for the guy, and he has reason to play in this tournament where I think a lot of guys don't necessarily have the same drive to do anything in this one. But he's also played well in this level of tournament on his appearances on tour, finishing second at the Puerto Rico, the RSM Classic, the 45th. The Honda's a little bit bigger. He finished T49 there. So in 24th last week at Corrales. So like this is the type of tournament where in this field, I think he can make some real noise in this field. So 7K? Yeah, 7K and about 10% ownership actually makes a lot of sense to me as well. Especially if I am going to eat the chalk with Ricky up top at 10 to 20%.
Not to talk shit about the PGA Tour, but can we go ahead and review the 10K range? Tyrrell, Hideki, Ricky, and Corey Connors. That's our 10. That's our 10K and above. And in the 9K range, where the real value. Let's see: Taylor Montgomery, Siwoo Kim, Davis Riley, Christian Kirk, Matt Kuchar, and Ryan Fox. Matt Kuchar, by the way.
No, you did it. I think you probably did it on purpose.
I'm Kirk. Always doing it on purpose. He doesn't have another name. His name is Christian Kirk. But Matt Kuchar, tell me I didn't call it last week. He made mincemeat of his competition and got to the round of 16.
And he's another guy who needs to make some noise this week to get into Augusta next week. He doesn't have his invite yet. He needs to slip inside that top 50 as well this week.
Don't say slip inside like that. That makes me feel very uncomfortable just hearing you mention that. So if you tuned in this week for wisdom and sage advice about your DFS, stick around until Top Money Golf is on, and then next week we'll have some big hitters. See, that's the thing is I'm already doing my research for next week for the Masters.
Yeah, no, next week you're probably gonna be able to catch this entire show being pretty much dedicated to Masters DFS because it needs that type of dedicated time for it. So this week we're going to be a little more freewheeling from the hip here, talking about everything. Because look, the other quick thing I wanted to get to before we get to our guest Nate coming in here in a few minutes, just real fast. I know we feel the same. I sent you a text on it, but during the match play and the guys, past champions who are now on Live, getting cut out of the TV graphic, such an unneeded jab by whoever decided to make that decision.
I hope they get a talking to. I hope they get the feedback that was like, what are we doing here? Why is that necessary? If you want to do anything snarky, put an asterisk next to their name, but to omit them is to give oxygen to a dying fire. And Live, by the way, is I don't know how much. I don't know. I don't know how.
The ratings dropped by 24% in their second tournament on the CW,
and they weren't high to begin with.
Already abysmal first week.
We're back to cold turkey sandwiches, paying your own way, and they're hoping that like these teams are going to. What is there to buy? Like you're not buying. The talent's already been bought and paid for by the Saudi Public Investment Fund and Live Golf. Nobody's going to come buy the team then for 9 figures. Like I don't understand that works unless they take on the debt, whatever's been paid to them.
Well, there's nothing there. They're starting to realize that the team is kind of the only thing that might be sellable at this point because look at Phil just the other day coming out with comments that he was asked about, in generality, he was asked about how the changes that Liv has brought to the golf world and what he thinks. And the only thing he talked about was how the team aspect is this new thing. But if you go back to everything Phil's been saying this whole time, it was never about the team. It's always been about changing the money structure for golfers to make it fair for the golfers and spread the wealth and create more opportunities for, like, he was speaking with that being his reasonings and his arguments. And now he's saying that the best change that Liv has brought to the golf world is teams. Like, that's just a 180, and that's just weak. It's just a weak answer, a weak argument, but it's all they have left.
Fuck Phil.
Well, yes, Phil, but
I go to if all of a sudden, I don't know. Imagine if NASCAR all of a sudden went to a team model. Now, yes, people will be like, well, this driver, that driver, they might all drive for the same team. Right, but they're not running as a team legitimately, like actually, or directly. You just have the same team owner. That would be like if Robert Kraft happened to own the Patriots and the NFL let him own the Cowboys too, and then they met in the Super Bowl, where it's like he's high on the hog. He doesn't give a shit because one of his teams is going to win, but the fan base get to go out. It just I don't see it carrying where Tony Stewart all of a sudden is a member of a team. Tony Stewart's a cult. Or used to be a cult in racing until a lot of bad shit happened. Jimmy Johnson, these kind of guys. It's kind of like Phil. Phil was a cult. Now he's like, well, come be part of Team Phil. And it's like, no, there's no fun to be. There's you. There's Phil. There is no Team Phil. There is no Team Lefty. I'll guess there is some Team Lefty guys out there.
I think we're seeing the signs you alluded to. I think we're seeing the signs of decay coming very fast, abrupt and quickly here for Liv, and we'll see what happens as their season carries on here, but it's definitely not looking the brightest right now. But with that said, we're going to take a quick break here. We're going to hear from our guys over at Underdog Fantasy, and when we come back, we're going to have our guest Nate Hyrn from Acorn Hills Clothing Company join us. So stick around. A great story there, a lot of good information to learn. So come back, join us after this break.
Underdog Fantasy is here to save your post-fantasy football season blues. The easiest place to play and win with the Underdog Fantasy app. Get up to 20 times your money in a single night with our Pick'em contests. Grab some insurance when setting your picks and win even when one pick fails. Go online now and use the promo code DIVPIV to double your deposit up to $100. Sit gingerbread, good girl.
And welcome back to Bud's Empty Chair, and welcome in, Nate. Bud's been telling me a lot about you, and what I've been reading about Acorn Hills is fantastic, so I can't wait to hear more directly from you. But once again, welcome in. How are you this evening, Nate?
Good. Can you guys hear me okay?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
and for the record, Nate, real quick, say your name for us one more time.
Nate Wren. The H is silent. It's okay.
Oh, I missed it. Okay, so that's what. Now I get the text message. But when you were
I saw Bud smiling. That's okay. No, I don't get mad about that at all. What I get mad about is when people spell it HYRN, and I think there's only 4 letters. It's HR, but Andrew, I don't care. But
I tried so many times to send him text messages, but I was using talk to text and like driving to daycare. And I'm like, no, I said it right the first time, but it's pronounced Ren, but it's spelled the way that I spelled it. And he was like, okay, I know. Yeah. Thank you. I appreciate it. Nate, before we get into Acorn Hills and all things beautiful blue tick, that's a gorgeous hat you have on right there. I got to say that.
I saw the hat backwards, but
love the hat.
And so, but before we get into that, because the story's cool, the background's even cooler, and the stuff you're doing for sustainability and the environment's wonderful. It's a wonderful intersection of golf, outdoors, and life. But where do you stand on this golf ball rollback stuff?
I don't know. I being a college player myself, a lot of times I'll just use the balls or whatever the team provides. So if it is rolled back, I could really have a trickle down effect, especially if it in the upcoming years, if it even happens on the collegiate level, because those guys eventually go to the tour, go to the live. So it could even affect me down the line. Not that I'm saying I'm going to go pro by any means.
No, but you don't.
I have no plans to go pro.
But you don't play the Final Four on a 10-foot rim and then have the NBA an 11-foot rim. And you said you're a college golfer. Real quick, back it up, Nate Wren.
Yeah.
Where do you play college? Where do you play college golf? Where are you?
Yeah, so I play in a small. Right now I'm in a study room here on campus, but I play at a small Division III school in PA called Mount Aloysius. Very small. It's close to home, about an hour away from home for me. Aloysius, yep.
Aloysius.
Aloysius and Ren. We got our work cut out for us tonight.
Oh, so I like that you took the diplomatic route out. Yes, there could be a trickle down effect. You still didn't tell me whether or not you liked or did not like the rollback, and I'll let you off on that one.
Well,
The next topic. Go ahead, plus. Yeah.
okay. Well, see, I don't hit the ball long at all. Like, so I need every type of help I need. So I'm definitely not for it. But I need every type of distance help I need that I can get.
And
Nice.
before, but one last question. We're heading into Masters
Yeah.
week. Who do you? I don't know. I mean, obviously, because we haven't got into your bio yet, I do want you to introduce the world to what you actually do in your spare time. But when you're not when you're not running Acorn Hills and the student government and being the digital marketing major and the business club and et cetera, ad nauseum, ad infinitum, what do you think about this upcoming Masters tournament? What are like either storylines you're looking forward to or players you want to follow? What are you looking forward to in Augusta 2023?
You know, I don't know. I would love to go with Rory. I'd love to see Rory get it done. But I just every year Rory comes out, fires a good second or third round, and then all of a sudden Sunday he's a no-show. And I would love to see Rory win for sure. I don't know. I'm feeling strong for maybe Hideki too. He's been kind of quiet, but we'll see. We'll see. I'll let you know Monday morning, maybe. How about that? after it's all over, I'll let you know.
We'll put Nate's pick up on next week's show in a quick graphic. Everyone will know.
So that's great. Yeah, put it on. Right now, I'm gonna go with Rory. We'll go Rory.
Okay.
Me too. I agree with you though. The Masters is the whole Peanuts cartoon with Lucy and the football, and Rory's coming and she's gonna kick it. They're gonna make it this one and yank. We're all the suckers hoping that they're going to make the field goal. But all things said, so we've set the table. Nate Wren, Mount Aloysius, Acorn Hills. Let's fill in the blanks there. Who is Nate Wren? What is Mount Aloysius? And what is Acorn Hills?
Yeah, so just a little disclaimer before I get started. For everyone listening, I do have a giveaway coming up here for Masters Week, so stay tuned on my Instagram. Yep, it's going to be on Masters Week, Acorn.Hills. It'll be in collaboration with a guy named Pat Bonds. So it's going to be for a hat and a polo. But yeah, it'll be great. Yep. So that's a little insider information right now. But so on Divots and Pivots, heard it first.
Heard it first. Love that.
Heard it first. Yeah. So a little bit about me is I grew up in a very part of rural PA where like it was not, I grew up playing golf all my life. But I was also in the outdoors. It was not by any means a private country club type place where I played. A lot of blue-collared golf, a lot of munis, things like that. And a lot of times too, growing up, my best friends were guys that were 30 and 40 years older than I was, 60-year-old guys, 70-year-old guys. And I got to be, really learn a lot from them. So that's the whole golf side of things. That's kind of where I got my golf start. But the whole outdoor thing is when I wasn't golfing, I was in the outdoors. I was never a hunter, never like fished or anything like that. But I just always like to go for walks or bike or I was a big runner outside growing up. I loved to do that or just camping in general. So for me, I always like to look good too. So yeah, Bud's a big camper too. But I always like to look good. So I thought, how could I, when I was like 15, 16 years old, I thought, how can I combine the two of sport, like outdoor activities, looking good, feeling good, all this type of, in the outdoors. And I'd say during the COVID pandemic there, 2019 and 2020, I used to write down at night in my little journal. It's like, all right, my big ideas. And one of them was Acorn Hills. And I just never jumped on it until I was a freshman. Well, let's see here. Yeah, end of my freshman year last year, I wrote it down and I thought, I'm going to start this. And then summer came and went and never did. So this semester here in August, I sat down. I thought there's no time like the present to start it. So I started the company in August. I debuted the website in January 1st of 2023. But, throughout that whole couple months prior to debuting the website, I partnered with the National Forest Foundation. And every item is ordered off my website, I plant a tree. So I think that's pretty neat. That's part of the do good. And then also too, I'm kind of getting a lot of recognition for my plantable seed tags on the clothing. I don't know, but you have a hat. You have a seed tag too, right? Correct?
I do, and I have it sitting on I live in New England where it's still colder than a witch's. Yep. And so I've got it sitting on my kitchen like a little windowsill. And my wife, when I told her about that it's wildflowers, she was like, "Well, perfect. We've got a little area in the back corner of our yard that we got to plant some stuff."
And that's just it. I partnered, so many times, growing up, I told Bud this before, is I would always want to look good. So I went shop, like I love this shop. I know I love this shop at heart, but every time I saw those little hang tags on the clothing, I thought, wow, that is just so much waste. Because you have the little clear like loop that connects it, and the hang tag, the plastic hang tag, and then of course you have the UPC sticker. So that's all plastic. And if you can eliminate one or two of those moving parts and replace it with the seed paper like I'm doing, I think it's a great thing. But
so just to be clear,
go ahead.
No, I say just to be clear, like what you're saying is when you go shopping, those little hang tags, you can legitimately just take them outside and just drop them on the soil. It will biodegrade and then also grow flowers.
Exactly. Yep. And I just actually put in an order today. So I'm going to have the seed tags are going to look the same. And I'm going to have a QR on there, QR code. And you can scan it. It's going to take you right to my website. And it'll say how to plant your tag. And then it'll have directions. So even if you have no green thumb whatsoever, you scan the little QR code, you're going to be great. But yeah, it's great. I had a member of the USA Today staff. I reached out to them. They did an article on me, and actually got picked up by the Weather Channel, the National Weather Channel. So I'm going on set April 12th,
Nice.
the Weather Channel. Yep, and I'm going to tell them.
The middle schooler in me is very jealous because
That's your DVRs.
In middle school, one of my things was I always want to be a weatherman, so I'm jealous.
Oh, geez, Andrew. Yep. So, Divots and Pivots heard the story first, but you guys are my very first podcast I've been on. But so you heard the story even before the Weather Channel. So, but yeah, I'll be on there. I think it'll be around 100,000 to just in that session to about 1.4 million viewers in that day. We'll hear that story. So hopefully it gets pretty big. But
what's a story that deserves to get big? What, like the ingenuity of it all? It's just something that I don't. Are you the only company doing that? Like, are you like the trendsetter here, or are you just doing the best with it? Tags? Yeah, like is that your thing? Yeah.
From my understanding, I'm one of the only companies doing it. I think I'm the only clothing company, at least small business right now, that's doing it.
Nice.
But yeah, and really, I it's not like I'm saying I want them, the only recognition for it. I'd love to encourage other companies to go out and do it as well. That's the goal, do good. So if I can encourage other companies to pick up my model, well, then that's pretty inspiring too. But
well, it seems like it's being pretty successful so far, and there's more to come. So the best way to, I guess, to encourage other people to do something is to show them how well you can do it yourself and make them jealous.
Oh yeah, and it's funny if you get a direct message from me on Instagram or something, it's legitimately me. It's not some chat bot or chat GPT typing the message. It's me on the other end of the phone there, and I'll put in a lot of sweat hours, like I told Bud. But nice. And that's just the company. I'm very involved here on campus as well. But
actually, yes, please do that real quick because I've got a follow-up question that's not necessarily golf or sustainability, although those are both important. But what are the different things what are the different hats that you wear over at Mount Aloysius? And fun fact, there's somebody on the golf team named Aloysius. True story.
Yeah, Aloysius Chunyan Lee, that's his name. But
nice.
Yeah, I just talked to him before I got in here, but I told him I'd give him a shout out. But yeah, so I'm a sophomore here at the Mountain. My first semester, as funny as it sounds, as I absolutely hated the college. I wasn't involved, and I thought, I need to get out of here. The grass is going to be greener somewhere else. So I toured all these colleges. My freshman year college, and then pretty soon I got back to where I started and thought, this place isn't so bad after all. So then I started the business club here on campus. It started out slow, but I eventually grew that to about 50, 60 members. And actually today, Bud just leave.
Yeah, he's been having some Wi-Fi issues tonight. He'll be back in a minute, I'm sure.
Okay, yep. I'll just keep going then, Andrew.
Yeah.
Yep. So I do the business club. Actually, today we had a career fair of about, I think, 89 employers we put on for the students here. And I think we had about 300 kids show up for that. So it was pretty big.
Oh, nice.
And then, I write for the school newspaper. I work in the marketing department here. I'm what's called a Mercy Presidential Scholar. So that means I'm very involved in the community coming out of high school. And I'm an ambassador here for the college. I play collegiate golf. I mean, you name it. I'm sure I'm around here somewhere. I do a lot, but that's not to toot my own horn or anything like that. Just if I'm not doing something,
I'm glad you did it, because I wanted you to toot your horn, because I wanted to use you as an example. You do all this stuff, and it didn't just fall into your lap. And the way I want to kind of tell that is to explain to the folks, you actually used to have some NIL deals, or not? Or you still have some NIL agreements. And it's something that's big. It's something so big especially we're talking about March Madness and parity with basketball and the sports football, go team, go ball, the college football realm, where people think that NIL is only these $1 million bags of Louis Vuitton that are being left somewhere for a car dealership. And you actually, because you said it such passing the first time we talked, but tell everybody real quick, what was that like actually going about getting NIL deals? What is NIL, and what have you learned from that experience?
Yeah, and a lot of that, but I'm really happy you brought that up, because a lot of that plays into Acorn Hills. Because coming out of high school, and even probably my senior year of high school, I knew I wanted to be in some sort of business field. But when the whole NIL deal came out, I thought, no one is going after these smaller companies. Everyone's going after your Nike, your Under Armour, your for the golf it'd be Titleist, FootJoy, etc. And I thought, well, they're not going to want a guy like me, Joe Smo from the public course in PA, but they're not going to want me. So I thought, what about these small startup people? And sure enough, these people are just trying to get their name out there, and they're really trying to grow. So I connected with two guys. One, he's actually part owner of Gilson Snowboards. I don't know if you ever heard of Gilson Snowboards. They're a huge snowboard manufacturing company, but they actually own Moonshine Golf, it's called. And that was my first NIL deal. And there was no compensation as far as money goes, but they sent me free gear to wear, and I would do that, and in exchange for post, and I put it in my bio, and that was on a very small scale. And when I came to college here, I thought, I'll go after another one. I can handle another one, and I made sure with Moonshine it was okay. And I went after what was called Yada Golf. Now, Yada Golf at the time, they were very small. No one has ever heard of Yada Golf up until this point. And about 2-3 months in, they ended up blowing up. And I think last year they did about $8 million in revenue. And
Nice.
they're doing crazy good stuff. And you probably see their stuff in TJ Maxx now, and retailers like Ross, TJ Maxx, Marshalls. Mm-hmm. And it's great because, a lot of top athletes eventually started wearing this stuff. But me being a little high schooler coming out of PA, it's like, okay, there is room for people like me as well. But
Sure.
then I use that back end knowledge almost as product research, product development. The year and a half when I had the NIL, I still have the NIL deals, but that year and a half where I, really worked hard at that, those contracts, I use that as product development for Acorn Hills. Kind of what do people like? What seems to spark a lot of people's interest? What materials, what manufacturing sites are common, and a lot of that was inspiration for me. So it was almost doing my own research without having to do my own research. That sounds horrible, like I'm using the company, but I promise I wasn't.
Every step along the way is, what did Shakespeare say? The past is prologue. Everything we do is just setting us up for the next step. I was gonna drop some Shakespeare on that ass. But did these come to you? I mean, were you recruited by these companies kind of similarly, like you might have been recruited for talent, or did you go look for them? Did you pitch them? How did that approach work?
Yep, I firm believer in reaching out, because the worst they can do is say no. And I would send them a DM similar to what I sent Bud when we first connected. And I said, hey, my name's Nate. I'm from Kerwinsville, Pennsylvania, and I said, I'm not a crazy D1 golfer or have any aspirations to go on the tour, but I really love what you guys are doing, etc. And I would love to somehow collaborate. And then more often than not, I get a lot of no's, but there'd be 1 or 2 companies that say, yeah, Nate, we can't offer you an ambassadorship position, but we can send you some free gear. We really appreciate you reaching out. And then of course with Moonshine and Yada, I did get the NIL deal. So, and they said, we never really experienced this. And I was almost like a unicorn in that time. And then pretty soon everyone started getting NIL deals. So I don't want to say I set the trend, but I definitely didn't set the trend for that.
If you were the first one on the trail, you blazed it. So whether or not there might be a lot of parallel trails going, but you were definitely a trailblazer in that space in my mind.
Oh yeah.
No,
I think being pulled in every direction.
It's about taking initiative, and it's about reaching out and being proactive. And like you said, if your status quo is nothing, then asking for something, you have zero risk. You're not, you know what I mean? It's like, what's the worst case to happen? You say no. The best thing that can happen is they say yes, and then you end up with a sweet blue tick.
Yeah,
hat.
the hat is super nice.
Well, listen, Andrew, if you play your cards right, I might have a promo code in my back pocket, TBFY15. It's for you. It's for anybody. This bud's for you. TBFY15. Go get yourself some the blue tick hat. I'm putting in my quarter zip. Andrew, talk to the spouse. She's not going to get the quarter zip. I'm going to get my quarter zip. So I'll get that order into you tomorrow.
Was that one of your subtle jabs?
No, I'm talking about my literal spouse. I am married, Andrew, unlike yourself.
I just heard. I thought you said I wasn't getting the quarter zip because I talked to the spouse and like got the no. That's what it sounded like. I thought you said.
We will bring you in as fast as you want to come with the promo code TBFY15 for 15% off your Acorn Hills.
Yeah, it is great. It's funny because a lot of times people just want to help. And I started this as a little hobby, and I have a couple. I do in summertime I do data analytics, so I'm a huge numbers guy. But add that to the plate of everything. But and I started as a little hobby. Now it's really starting to pick up, and it's just great. It's a great experience, and I may fall flat on my face at times, but it's great. I enjoy it. So
that's definitely a unique summer hobby.
Yeah, you go for the green and two because who cares? What if you miss it? You say you do data analytics. Do you ever crunch numbers for golf?
Yeah, so I it's funny. Yes, I do. A lot of times I'll use what's called a decade card. I don't know if you ever used the decade card. It's great. It measures paces and everything. But my coach makes me use what's called the decade card. But yeah, and in the summertime, I'm certified. I don't know if you ever heard of the company called Salesforce. It's a big software company. Certified in Salesforce. Yes. So a lot of yep. So it's great. But yeah, look up the decade card. It's like
decade
if
card.
you're in a bunker. Yep.
This is legit. Scott Fawcett, copyright 2019.
Yep.
Well, I love all this stuff. I think my favorite part about you wearing all these hats and whatnot is that you started off the story saying that, you were like, oh, I'm not happy here, so I might as well look to leave. But then you change your tune, and it's just a great story. But what is a great story for is that you saw, okay, this isn't my ideal view of what I want my situation around me to be. So I'm going to go ahead and create the clubs that I would like to see and see if I can help other people. I'm going to create this. I'm going to do this. And in that you've created the opportunities for other people to change their situation too.
And exactly. And I really appreciate you saying that because it's the truth. There's about 4 colleges that are within 10 miles of each other here. And they all have what's called a small business development center. And, me being a business student, there's not a lot of opportunity here, not a lot of incentive. So, we never had a business club. And I got with my advisor in the spring semester of my freshman. I said, hey, I was like, let's do this. I was like, even if it fails, like we're just going to go back to what we started with. And no, it has not. There's been so much interest. I've had guest speakers and this like today, Bud, I don't know if you were on, I think you might have lost connection when I said we had a career fair today. With 90 employers. 90 employers were there today, about 300 students. So it was great. So
it's huge.
Were any of them summer camps? See, this is what I'm telling you. Summer camps have got to get back to the colleges.
I don't think there's any summer camps. No,
what were a lot of your businesses from? What were your different industries represented there?
Yeah, a lot of so a lot of times we'll incorporate local
Sure.
businesses. So a lot of your and especially in this area, there's some big industries. So a lot of your car dealerships, a lot of your banks, a lot of your engineering, things like that really appeal to everyone. And there's also a couple grad schools here as well. But it was great. It was great. And a lot of there's about 6 or 7 mental health booths as well. So, people that help with mental health, like
definitely an emerging field.
Yeah, exactly. Yep, exactly. And then there are, people that were totally maybe had nothing to do with the mount or nothing to do with maybe local businesses. Like one guy, he drove from
love it.
The mount.
I knew it. I was waiting for it. Yeah. I'm so sorry. No, so what is the mount? By the way, thank you. Because career fairs, as long as you got a smorgasbord, it's not, such targeted. Because what you just named, banks, car dealerships, big companies. I worked with a guy who started out as a room service person at the Four Seasons. And I was like, why did you take that full college degree? He goes, I wanted to get in with a good company that had vertical options and had longevity and was well established. It wasn't so much about what he was doing in the moment versus the environment he wanted to be in. But back to the mount. What is the mascot of the mount? The Mount Aloysius fighting.
We're the Mounties, so like a horse. But
shut up.
No,
right?
The Mounties.
So is there a school mascot? Is there a horse? Is there a Mountie that shows up at the different?
You're really digging me into a hole here. I'm actually the Mountie, so I'm the guy. I'm the
yes.
I'm the guy. So.
No.
Oh, but if you've done your pre-show research, it's a little deep. We could have had a picture.
I'll share you guys a picture here maybe after we get off. But they needed a guy that was 6 foot 185, and I was perfect. So I'm the Mountie. Awesome. Yep.
One more thing for you to do, right? Why not?
Oh, geez, it's great. Yep, I star in the media videos and everything. Now, when it's go ahead.
What's the name? Like, are you Mr. Mountie? Is it like Marcel the Mountie? What's going on here?
It's like Mac, MAC, the Mountie.
Like it.
So Mac the Mountie. But that's it. Yep, I pull double duty. There's another kid that does it too, but I'm one of the guys. But
one of my fraternity brothers at the University of Georgia was Harry Dog. So everybody knows Uga, the bulldog, like the cute little bulldog and everything. But then there's also the dude in the outfit, and it's Harry Dog. And he was like, no, there's like 5 of us, man. He's like, are you kidding me? So I mean, it's the fact that Mac has 2 makes sense. Mac, not Mac the Mountie, Mac Mountie. I'm gonna get
either way it'll come up in a Google search. But yep, it's great. Yep,
I love knowing that.
And I'm not seeing past the fact that the MAC probably stands for Mount Aloysius College.
Yep.
Not just a hat rack over there, Andrew.
Exactly. Oh, but yeah, I could go on for hours about the Mount. It's been a great place for me to succeed and get my little foundation built, and it's been great.
And if Andrew doesn't cut me off, we will go on for hours about the Mount. So I'm going to go ahead and just say thank you so much for joining us here tonight, for reaching out, for being proactive, for doing what you're doing. Yes. For telling the world that you can do multiple things at a time. You can look good, feel good, and do good all at the same time. And I'm going to ask you to tell everybody if they want to go and use the promo code TBFY15 to get 15% off their purchase, where do they go and where can they find and follow and engage with Acorn Hills?
Yes, of course. acornhillsco.com is my website. So go ahead and go on there, and I really appreciate the business. And then on Instagram, I have acorn.hills. So it'll come up as Acorn Hills Clothing Company. That's me. But then you can also follow my main if you want to. It's Nate_Rin. So it's not too hard at Nate_Rin. But I'd really appreciate any support.
Yeah, we'll put that website and that discount code in the description for this show after we're live. I'll edit it, get that in there for you so that everyone who watches knows right where to go, knows the code to use. Yeah, because you're exactly the type of company that Bud and I know we both believe in. So we want to see you grow. And
I only have a couple only products right now, a couple products, but more in production. So I'm constantly trying to add more. So
he sent me the proofs and stuff. The shit's fire.
Well, I'm excited to see what happens with Acorn here over the next couple of years, couple months.
Hey.
Hell, who knows how much you grow once you have your stint with the Weather Channel there. So,
Yeah,
we'll be rooting for you.
I'd love to be on again, guys. You guys are great. I really appreciate the opportunity.
We'll love it.
Yep,
We would love it. And once again, that's Nate Hyrn from Acorn Hills, guys. That is going to do it for us here tonight, though. If you were, once again, looking for that DFS mind-blowing knowledge this week, wrong tournament for that. Sorry about that. But that is the pivot of our show. So you can catch us next week for our Masters coverage every Tuesday here on Fantasy Sports Corporation on YouTube, kicking off Tea Time Tuesday. Come back next week. We'll be waiting. And everybody, have a great night.